Have you ever felt like something big is coming, but no one around you seems to notice? Like the world is shifting beneath your feet, but everyone's too distracted to feel the tremor. You're not imagining it. What's unfolding right now isn't random. It's the unraveling of everything that no longer serves you and the collective. Forces more ancient than civilization itself have been waiting for this moment. Spiritual texts, forgotten prophecies, and suppressed teachings all point to a time when illusion collapses and truth rises from the ashes. That time is now. Most people won't see it until it's too late, but you still have a choice. You can close this video and return to the noise, or you can take the next few minutes to finally understand what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. You've probably felt it. That subtle but persistent whisper inside you, a quiet urgency, like an inner nudge that won't go away. You've looked at the world, at the chaos, the confusion, the cracks forming in everything we were taught to trust. And something deep within you just knows, this isn't the end. This is the beginning of something much bigger. There's a reason you've felt out of place lately, a reason the news doesn't make sense. The systems seem broken, and the things that used to feel stable now feel hollow. You're not broken for noticing you're awake, and more people are waking up every single day. But most will ignore it. They'll medicate the symptoms. They'll bury the questions. They'll call it anxiety, depression, restlessness. But what it really is the call. You came here to evolve, not to obey. You came here to remember. And the moment is arriving when forgetting will no longer be an option. Look around. The world you once knew is disintegrating, not because something went wrong, but because what was never truly right is losing its grip. Governments, financial systems, ideologies, and false hierarchies. They're crumbling, and they must. You're witnessing the collapse of illusions, not because it's the apocalypse, but because truth is breaking through the surface. Don't let fear convince you that this is destruction. It's revelation. The darkness is rising only because the light is here to expose it. You can feel it in your body. Your nervous system is responding not just to what's outside, but to what's emerging from within you. For most people, this will be terrifying. But for you, it's a return. You're not here to panic, you're here to remember. And remembering begins when you take your attention off the external noise and bring it back to the one place you were taught to ignore, yourself. Because what you focus on creates. Attention isn't just passive, it's power. Where your awareness goes, energy flows. And right now, nearly everyone is being pulled into a vortex of fear, conflict, and distraction. The game is to keep you looking out there, so you never remember the power in here. Every headline is bait. Every algorithm is designed to keep you numb, reactive, and addicted to outrage. The more chaos you absorb, the more disempowered you feel. The more disempowered you feel, the easier it is to control you. But what if you pulled your attention back? What if you stopped feeding the narrative, designed to make you forget who you are? You are not a consumer of chaos. You are a creator of frequency. You are an energetic being living in a field of infinite potential. Every thought you think, every feeling you allow, every choice you make, ripples into the quantum field around you. Your energy is not passive, it's magnetic. But here's the catch. If you focus on lack, you amplify lack. If you obsess over fear, you strengthen fear. If you resist what's happening, you prolong its presence in your life. That's the secret no one ever told you. You don't fight darkness by wrestling it. You dissolve it. By becoming so full of light, it has nowhere left to hide. You weren't taught this in school. You weren't shown this on television. Because systems built on control can't afford empowered individuals. And that's what you're becoming. So the question becomes, where is your attention right now? Is it on what they want you to fear, or is it on what you are here to build? Most people have no idea what's about to happen, not just out there in the world, but inside of themselves. This is not just the collapse of systems. This is the collapse of who you thought you had to be. The old identity, the outdated beliefs, the conditioned responses. They're all unraveling, and yes, that can feel terrifying, but it's also sacred. This is your initiation. You are being pulled into a higher octave of yourself, a version of you that doesn't seek permission, that doesn't outsource worth, that doesn't need the approval of a crumbling world to know what's true. You're not here to fit in. You're here to break the mold, to step out of the collective hypnosis, to tune into the subtle intelligence of your inner being and say, I trust you. I trust the nudges, the gut feelings, the silent knowing. I trust the pull toward something greater, even when I can't explain it. I trust the discomfort, the chaos, the uncertainty, because I know it's all part of my awakening. And when you begin to trust yourself at that level, something miraculous happens. Your vibration changes. Your reality shifts. The things that used to drain you fall away. The people that used to confuse you no longer have power over your peace. The world may still be in chaos, but you're no longer tethered to it. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to move with intention. You begin to live from your core, not from your conditioning. But because the truth is, the collapse is not coming. It's already here. The question is, are you collapsing with it, or are you rising because of it? There is no going back to what was. The version of the world that you once trusted, the one that told you who you had to be, what success looked like, what was possible or not possible for you, that version is dying. And that's not a tragedy, that's a gift. Because as the old collapses, the new becomes visible. But only to those who are willing to look with different eyes. You've been taught to fear change, to fear uncertainty, to fear your own power. But the truth is, change is the only constant. Uncertainty is the birthplace of miracles. And your power? It's been waiting in the shadows for you to remember it. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to be silent, obedient, or numb. You were meant to be awake, aware, and alive. And right now, your soul is choosing to rise. Even when your mind resists, even when your ego clings to comfort, even when the world screams at you to conform. Because something inside you already knows. You didn't come here just to survive this shift. You came to help shape it. But first, you have to reclaim your most sacred asset, your attention. Because where you place your awareness, you place your power. You're not just observing reality, you're shaping it. You are constantly broadcasting a signal to the universe. And that signal is not made up of your words, it's made of your vibration. And your vibration is shaped by your thoughts, your feelings, your focus, and your willingness to release what no longer serves you. Most people have no idea they're participating in their own disempowerment. They wake up and tune into fear. They scroll through outrage. They ingest conflict as if it's nutrition, and then they wonder why their lives feel heavy, chaotic, and out of control. But you're starting to notice the pattern. You're starting to realize that what you give your energy to grows, and that realization changes everything. You are not a victim of what's happening. You are the observer and the creator. And when you understand this, the spell begins to break. You stop feeding the machine that drains you. You begin feeding the vision that uplifts you. Whether you begin listening to the quiet voice within, the one you've ignored for too long, that voice doesn't yell. It doesn't shame you or push you or threaten you. It whispers. It nudges. It speaks in sensation, in synchronicity, in sudden clarity. It speaks in dreams and déjà vu and strange coincidences. It speaks through your body, your breath, your curiosity. And when you finally slow down and listen, you realize it's been guiding you all along. That's why this moment matters, because you're being asked to choose, to decide whether you'll follow the noise of the world or the knowing in your soul, whether you'll spiral in fear or rise in frequency, whether you'll cling to the crumbling systems or build something new from the ground of your own truth. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a 5-year plan. You just need one thing: presence. When you are truly present with yourself, without judgment, without distraction, without performance, you access the wisdom that lives beyond the mind. You connect with the intelligence of the universe itself. This intelligence is not somewhere out there. It's not locked inside an ancient book or sitting behind a temple door. It's in your cells, in your heartbeat, in the silence between your thoughts. And it's trying to lead you to your next evolution, not just for your own life, but for the collective field of humanity. Because when you choose to trust yourself, you don't just liberate your own path, you shift the energy of the entire planet. You've probably noticed it already. The people around you are changing. Some are waking up, others are doubling down on denial. Some relationships fall away, others deepen in ways you never imagined. It can feel lonely, confusing, even painful. But this is the space between stories, the cocoon between identities, the void between the inhale and the exhale. Don't rush to fill it. Don't try to force clarity where mystery is doing its sacred work. Some of the most profound shifts happen in the silence, in the stillness, in the letting go. You're being rewired. And just like any system undergoing transformation, it requires surrender. The old programming is being stripped away. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'm falling behind, I have to prove myself. These are viruses in the code of your soul. They were never yours to begin with. They were installed by generations of fear, by systems built to survive off your silence, but reinstalling them. Not by fighting, but by seeing, by bringing awareness to what no longer resonates and choosing something different, choosing to respond with love, to speak with intention, to walk with purpose, to act not from trauma, but from alignment. And yes, it takes courage, the kind of courage that won't get you applause from the world, but will earn the quiet approval of your soul. You are not broken. You are breaking free. You are not lost. You are shedding the false maps drawn by others. You are not behind. You are arriving in divine timing. And the more you return to yourself, the more you realize. This is what they didn't want you to know. That the revolution isn't happening in governments or headlines. It's happening in the hearts of those who remember who they are. It's happening every time you choose to feel instead of numb, to speak instead of shrink, to love instead of fear. You are the awakening, not a witness to it, not a bystander, not an afterthought. You are it. So, breathe, ground into this moment, let the noise fall away, and ask yourself, not with fear but with deep trust, what is life trying to become through me now? Because everything you need is already inside you, the wisdom, the timing, the strength, the clarity. The path may not look like anyone else's, and it's not supposed to. You're not here to repeat a template. You're here to become something the world hasn't seen before. So let go of the need to be understood by those who still sleep. Let go of the urge to justify your expansion. Let go of the illusion that you must earn your worth. You are already enough, not because of what you've done, but because of what you are. And what you are is the light inside the storm. You are the calm eye in the middle of the chaos, the one who can see clearly when others are spinning, the one who remembers truth when the world forgets. And even when you feel unsure, even when the path ahead looks unclear, you are still being guided, because your very presence here is the sign. You wouldn't be hearing these words if you weren't ready to rise. Everything that once defined you is being questioned. The roles you played, the identities you clung to, the opinions you thought mattered. They're dissolving, and it can feel like death, but it's not the end of you. It's the death of the mask, the unraveling of the persona, the soft, sacred cracking open of the shell you built to protect yourself, because now you're finally safe to emerge. Not the version of you that fit in, but the one that was always meant to stand out. This is evolution from the inside out. This is what it means to awaken. It's not some fantasy of bliss and instant manifestation. It's raw. It's real. It asks you to look at your patterns, to meet your shadows, to step into your truth even when your voice shakes. Because the more you embrace who you really are, the more aligned your outer world becomes. Not overnight, not with a snap of your fingers, through presence, through choice, through the sacred act of trusting yourself again and again and again. You are not the thoughts that tell you to be afraid, you are the one who hears them. You are not the emotion that tries to pull you into panic, you are the awareness behind the storm, and that awareness, pure, quiet, powerful, is the real you. It doesn't need validation, it doesn't chase outcomes, it simply knows. It knows who you are, it knows why you're here, it knows exactly what to do, even when your mind is full of noise. And the more you learn to live from that place, the more sovereign you become. Sovereignty isn't about being in control of the world, it's about being in command of your energy. It means you no longer leak your power to fear. You no longer hand over your truth in exchange for approval. You no longer mold yourself to fit into spaces that dim your light. You stop trying to be digestible. You start being divine. That's what this global breakdown is really about. It's the invitation to come home, not to the systems you were raised in, but to the soul you were born with. And yes, the old world will try to pull you back. It will dangle comfort. It will promise stability. It will tempt you with safety wrapped in silence. But deep down you know the cost. You know that numbing yourself to stay small is a slow kind of death. And you didn't come here to die that way. You came here to burn, to blaze, to be the spark that lights something ancient in others. You're not here to wait for permission. You're here to embody truth so fully that your very existence becomes an invitation for others to do the same. That's the new leadership. It doesn't come from titles or institutions. It comes from alignment, from frequency, from integrity. When you lead yourself, you shift the field. You create new templates. You become the future in motion. And make no mistake, this is spiritual war. Not against each other, but against forgetting. The forgetting of who we are. The forgetting of what we carry. The forgetting of how powerful it is just to breathe, to feel, to love, to speak light into a space that was once full of fear. But when you remember, you become untouchable. Not because you're invincible, but because you are aligned. And alignment is a shield that no illusion can pierce. When you're aligned, you can walk through darkness and remain the light. You can stand in the storm and know that nothing real can be threatened. You begin to see the world differently. You stop reacting to everything that happens outside of you and you start responding from what's anchored within you. You don't run from uncertainty, you meet it with clarity. You don't fight for your power, you recognize that you never lost it. And in that recognition you reclaim everything. Your time, your attention, your purpose, your soul. This is the moment you stop asking, what's going to happen to me? And start asking, who do I choose to be now? Because that choice is your point of power, not tomorrow, not when the world fixes itself, now. Right here, in the chaos, in the noise, in the unknown. That's where the alchemy begins. That's where real transformation happens, not when everything is calm, but when you learn to be calm inside the storm. And when you live from that place, you become magnetic, not to the old world, but to the one you were born to help build, the people you're meant to meet, the opportunities that match your frequency, the clarity you've been searching for. They don't find the version of you that's hiding. They find the version of you that's home. Home in your body, home in your voice, home in your presence, home in your power. Because you've stopped searching for the answers out there, you've started listening to the compass in here. And that inner guidance, it never lies. It may not always make logical sense. It may lead you to release people, places, patterns. It may ask you to leap before you see the net. But it always knows, it always leads you exactly where you need to be for your highest unfolding. This is the path of the awakened. It's not easy, it's not always glamorous, but it is sacred. And you didn't come this far just to turn around. You came to remember. You came to rise. You came to lead, not by force, but by frequency. So breathe deeply, feel your presence, Listen to the quiet hum of your being. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are right on time. And as this world continues to shake, crumble, and transform, let this be your truth. You are not here to be a passive witness. You are here to be a conscious creator. You are not a bystander to your own life. You are the force behind the unfolding. And even when the outside world seems out of control, even when the structures you once leaned on begin to collapse, you are still being asked the same question over and over again. Will you trust yourself? Not the version of you that was shaped by fear, not the version that was taught to doubt and shrink, but the version of you that remembers. That ancient self, the one that existed before the noise, before the programming, before the pressure to fit inside someone else's mold. You can feel it rising now, the deeper knowing, the pull toward simplicity, stillness, truth. That pull isn't random. It's your internal guidance system trying to lead you home, and that home is not a place, it's a state of being, a return to wholeness, a reunion with the part of you that never stopped believing, even when life got heavy, even when people left, even when nothing made sense. You were never meant to hold on to what's dying. You were meant to plant your feet in the ashes and bloom anyway, because endings are never just endings. They're thresholds, doorways, invitations, and this threshold you're standing on, it's sacred. It's where the old world and the new world touch, and you are the bridge. Every time you choose presence over panic, you become the bridge. Every time you hold your center instead of reacting, you become the bridge. Every time you trust your inner voice when the outer world demands conformity, you become the bridge. And the more you live from that space, the more the universe meets you there. Not with ease, always, but with alignment. And alignment is worth everything. You weren't designed to live in reaction, you were designed to live in resonance. That means you don't have to chase, you attract. You don't have to force, you allow. You don't have to beg life to bless you, you become the space that blessings are drawn to. And that shift begins when you stop trying to survive the old and start embodying the new. This isn't about bypassing what's happening. It's not about pretending everything is okay. It's about recognizing that even in the breakdown, there is beauty. Even in the crumbling, there is clarity. Even in the uncertainty, there is a deeper invitation to finally feel your own essence. That part of you that isn't moved by headlines, that isn't manipulated by fear, that isn't interested in playing the game. That part of you knows this moment has been coming for a long time, and it knows you were born for it. You didn't come here to play small. You came to remember how infinite you are. You came to embody a consciousness that is no longer interested in being told who to be. You came to walk differently, speak differently, hold space differently. And even if that makes you stand out, even if it makes others uncomfortable, even if it means letting go of who you used to be, you're ready. Because the comfort of the old cannot compare to the freedom of the real. And you didn't come here to live half a life. You came here to burn with truth, to open to love, to walk with purpose, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And yes, it may feel like you're walking through fire right now, but that fire isn't here to destroy you. It's here to refine you, to burn away what you're not, to show you what can no longer come with you. Because the next chapter of your life cannot be built with the same energy that created the last one. You are the alchemist now. And the raw material is your own awareness, your own frequency, your own willingness to see things differently. You've been trained to think power is loud, but real power is still. It doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't beg to be seen. It simply exists, quietly, immovably, like a mountain under the storm. And that power is rising within you now. It may feel unfamiliar. It may challenge everything you were taught, but it's yours. It's the power to choose how you respond, the power to direct your energy, The power to create not from fear, but from vision, from trust, from the part of you that is no longer interested in playing the victim. Yes, the world is changing, but what most people don't realize is that the world changes in response to us. We are not separate from it. We are not waiting for something outside of us to shift before we awaken. We are the shift. Every moment you choose peace over panic, clarity over confusion, trust over doubt, you help reshape the collective field. Your energy ripples farther than you think. Your vibration becomes a tuning fork. Others feel it, even if they don't have words for it. They sense something in you, something stable, something sovereign, something that feels like home. That's what you offer the world when you trust yourself. You become the mirror, the medicine, the living proof that it's possible to live from the inside out. And that is more revolutionary than anything happening in politics or media. Because a person who trusts themselves is unprogrammable. They don't need to be told what to think. They don't follow blindly. They don't obey out of fear. They listen. They discern. They choose. And that is exactly what this time is calling for. Not more noise, not more reaction, but more remembering, more grounding, more presence, more people who are willing to unplug from the illusion and live from their truth, even when it's unpopular, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs them their old identity. This is not the end. This is the unveiling, the moment when everything hidden comes into view, the moment when truth stops whispering and begins to roar. And in that roar you find your clarity. You see through the game. You recognize the pattern, and you choose again and again to trust what you feel over what you're told, to trust what expands you over what confines you, to trust what aligns with love, even if it scares you. Because you know that love is the only thing real enough to build a new world on. So let the old fall. Let the false shake. Let the noise try to distract you. You know better now. You know that the real signal is found in the silence, in the stillness, in the part of you that has never been touched by chaos. That's where your answers live. That's where the future is being created. And that's where you are already leading from, even if no one else sees it yet. You are not here to be saved. You are here to remember that you were always the one holding the key. You were always the one holding the key. And maybe you forgot for a while, maybe you got caught in the distractions, the noise, the false stories about who you had to be. But forgetting isn't failure. It's part of the path. Because the moment you forget who you are is the moment you're given the sacred opportunity to remember on a deeper level. And that remembering, it's not just for you. It echoes, it ripples through timelines and generations. Every time you say yes to your own truth, you say no to everything that ever tried to silence it. You become the ending of an old story and the beginning of a new one. You are here to disrupt the patterns of fear. You are here to stop the cycles of doubt. You are here to walk a path so honest, so rooted in your own soul that others begin to question the limitations they thought were real. You become the proof that it's possible, not because your life looks perfect, but because your energy feels aligned. And that alignment, that's what the world is starving for. People are drowning in information but craving truth. They're overwhelmed with data but starving for depth. And the only thing that cuts through all the noise is embodiment. When you embody what you know, when you live what you feel to be true, your presence becomes your message. Your choices speak louder than any slogan. Your energy carries the codes for a different way of being. And that's what changes everything. Because most people are still searching out there. They're chasing the next answer, the next fix, the next teacher, the next validation. But you've come to realize that all of it, all along, was pointing you back to yourself. Not to your ego, not to your mask, but to your core, your essence. That still point within you that never wavers. You don't have to chase anymore. You don't have to prove or perform or persuade. You just have to be to anchor into the truth of who you are so deeply that everything not meant for you falls away on its own. That's the frequency of power. That's what happens when you trust. And this level of trust, it's not passive, it's not fragile, it's fierce, it's grounded. It's the kind of trust that says, even when I can't see the whole path, I know I'm being led. Even when everything outside me screams give up, I choose to listen to the quiet yes inside my soul. Even when nothing makes sense, I still belong here. Because you do belong here. You didn't miss your moment. You didn't fall behind. You didn't get left out. Every twist, every delay, every closed door was preparation, refinement, clearing. It was all part of the deeper wisdom you carry now. The kind of wisdom that only comes from living through the fire and realizing it didn't burn you. It forged you. The pain didn't define you, the loss didn't defeat you, the confusion didn't consume you, because underneath all of it something in you refused to give up. And that something is what makes you unstoppable, not in the loud, flashy look-at-me way, but in the quiet, steady, unwavering way. The way of truth, the way of soul, the way of someone who no longer needs the world's approval to feel whole. You're whole now. Not perfect, not finished, but whole. Because you've reclaimed the parts of you that were once rejected. The parts that were too sensitive, too deep, too intense. The parts that felt like liabilities in a world addicted to numbness. You've taken them back. And now they are your power. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's your compass. Your depth is not a burden, it's your brilliance. Your intensity is not too much, it's exactly what this world needs. And when you stop apologizing for who you are, you make space for others to do the same. You create a permission field, a vibration of authenticity so strong that it disrupts everything false. People feel it when they're near you, even if they can't explain it, even if they don't say a word. They feel something different. Something honest, something real. And that's what this world is craving. Not more noise, not more surface, not more strategies, but truth. And you are that truth, embodied. So keep going. Keep trusting the path that doesn't always make sense. Keep choosing presence over performance. Keep letting go of what no longer resonates even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because the things that fall away are not losses. They are alignments. They are shifts into greater truth. And every time you release what was never yours, you make space for what is. You make space for the people who see you without needing to fix you. You make space for the opportunities that feel like a full body yes. You make space for the future that isn't built on compromise, but on clarity. This is not a time to shrink. This is not a time to doubt. This is a time to rise. Not in resistance to the old, but in devotion to the new. A new way of being, a new way of relating, a new way of creating that isn't rooted in fear, but in love, in trust, in consciousness. You're not here to escape the world. You're here to elevate it, to bring your light into the places that forgot it existed, to speak your truth even when your voice shakes, to stand in your worth even when the world doesn't understand it. That's the real shift, not just a change in circumstances, but a change in frequency, a change in how you see yourself, a change in how you show up, a change in how you walk through the world, not as someone seeking approval, but as someone anchored in truth. And when you walk that way, you change everything around you, not by force, not by convincing, but simply by being. You become a lighthouse, a signal, a quiet revolution that cannot be undone. Because you're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping someone else will lead. You're not playing small so others feel comfortable. You are owning the fullness of who you are. And that ownership, that trust, is what they never wanted you to find. Because once you find it, you can't be controlled. You can't be manipulated. You can't be made to forget again. And even if you do forget for a moment, even if the world tries to pull you back into the fog, you'll find your way again. Because you've tasted truth, you've touched something real, And once you do, there's no going back. You're here to move differently now, to live differently, to listen differently, because most people have no idea what's about to happen. But you're already becoming it. You're already becoming it. The shift the world has been whispering about, the one buried beneath distractions and denial, the one that ancient texts hinted at and mystics tried to prepare us for. That shift isn't coming from the outside. It's coming through you, through your courage to see clearly, through your willingness to break cycles, through your choice to trust the invisible more than the illusion of stability. Because when you walk this path, you begin to see what most cannot. You see that chaos is not a punishment. It's a recalibration. You see that the world isn't falling apart. It's shedding its skin. The masks are coming off. The false systems are being exposed. The frequency of truth is rising so fast that everything built on distortion is cracking beneath the weight of its own dishonesty. And yes, that looks like collapse, but it's also creation. The old must fall so the authentic can rise. And you, just by being here, just by breathing consciously, just by choosing to be present in this moment, are part of that rising. You don't need to have a platform to be powerful. You don't need to have followers to be impactful. Your presence, your frequency, your embodiment, those are the tools of transformation. You affect the field around you simply by choosing love over fear, again and again, when it would be easier not to. You are a living transmission, a reminder to others that there is another way to be, that alignment is real, that peace isn't found in perfection, it's found in presence. And as you continue to align with who you truly are, you begin to attract the reality that matches it. You become magnetic, not because you're trying, but because you've stopped resisting your nature. You're not here to fix everything. You're here to remember what can't be broken. And what can't be broken is your spirit. What can't be broken is your connection to Source. What can't be broken is the light you carry even when you forget it's there. And when that light touches others, it wakes something in them too. That's why people are drawn to you, and don't know why. That's why certain conversations find you. That's why your journey hasn't looked like everyone else's, because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to tune in, to be an example of what it looks like to trust the path even when the map has burned, to walk forward even when the ground is still forming beneath your feet. You are not lost. You are on sacred ground, the kind of ground that births new realities, the kind of ground that doesn't carry the residue of the past, the kind of ground where only truth can grow. And your truth. It may not look like anyone else's, but that doesn't make it wrong. It makes it needed. That's the beauty of this awakening. It doesn't ask you to become someone else. It asks you to unbecome everything you were never meant to be, to let go of the masks, the scripts, the roles that kept you safe but small, to peel back the layers and reveal what's always been there. You, in your rawest essence, are enough. Not when you achieve more, not when you're more healed, not when the world finally catches up. Right now, as you are, because you're not here to be a finished product. You're here to be a living process, a breathing embodiment of becoming, a soul that shows others how to be human without apology. And yes, that means you'll be misunderstood. It means you'll outgrow people, places, ideas. It means you'll walk away from what no longer feeds your expansion, and it may hurt. But what's more painful is staying in spaces where your spirit is starving. You came here to be full of light, full of presence, full of truth. And sometimes fullness begins with emptiness, with the clearing, the letting go, the sacred void where everything false dissolves so something real can be born. Don't fear that space. It's where the real magic happens. It's where the noise fades and your soul begins to speak louder than your fear. It's where you realize that you never needed to chase anything, because what is meant for you has always been circling you, waiting for you to become the version of yourself that can receive it. You're not waiting on the universe is responding to your frequency, to your willingness, to your trust. And when that trust becomes unshakable, miracles stop being rare, they become normal. That's not just a nice idea. It's quantum reality. You are energy before you are matter. You are consciousness before you are identity. And consciousness, when aligned with intention and clarity, reshapes timelines, alters outcomes, heals bodies, rewrites stories. That's why your attention is sacred. That's why your focus is power, not because you're trying to manifest from desperation, but because you finally understand that you're not separate from the fabric of existence. You are it. The same energy that births galaxies flows through your breath. The same intelligence that governs the cosmos beats your heart. You are not a mistake. You are not a coincidence. You are not an accident that somehow slipped into this life. You are the divine in motion, the eternal made visible, and when you begin to act like it, not from ego, but from reverence, your whole world begins to change. You speak differently. You listen more deeply. You move with intention, not urgency. You stop needing to prove because your energy speaks louder than your words. And that energy, it's contagious. It lifts rooms. It shifts dynamics. It unravels distortion without a fight. Because truth doesn't need to convince anyone. It just needs to be lived. That's your invitation now, not to escape, not to transcend, but to embody, to ground heaven into earth through your presence, to bring the unseen into form through your being, to live so deeply in your truth that your life becomes your legacy. You don't need a stage to be seen. You don't need a title to lead. You don't need to wait for permission to begin. You already began the moment you chose to trust yourself. That was the shift. Not an external sign, not a global event, but the quiet moment when you said to yourself, I am ready to remember who I am. I am ready to return to the truth. I am ready to be who I came here to be. And the exit is unknown. And in that moment, the world changed. Maybe not all at once, maybe not in ways the news will report, but in frequency, in vibration, in the invisible realm where all form begins. And now, you're becoming the one who helps others feel safe enough to do the same. You're becoming the one who helps others feel safe enough to do the same. Not by fixing them, not by saving them, but by being so rooted in your own truth that they begin to remember theirs. By standing tall in your energy even when others shrink in theirs. By loving yourself so completely that it shows others how to stop betraying their own hearts. That is the revolution most people never see coming, a revolution of energy, of presence, of individuals reclaiming their connection to something greater without waiting for external approval. No protests required, no noise, just a quiet, grounded, unshakable frequency that says, I will not abandon myself to belong to a broken system. You've already felt what happens when you do abandon yourself, the heaviness, the inner conflict, the ache of pretending. And you've also felt what happens when you come back, that exhale, that inner peace, that magnetic click of alignment. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. And once you feel it, even once, it becomes your compass. This world will keep offering you 1,000 ways to forget, but your soul will always bring you back to the one way to remember, and that way is through trust. Not blind trust in systems, not forced trust in authority, but embodied trust in your own knowing. The kind of trust that doesn't come from logic, but from deep, cellular truth. Because the mind wants to plan, but the soul knows the path. The mind wants control, but the soul wants connection. The mind asks for proof, but the soul asks for presence. And right now, more than ever, your soul is asking for your presence. To show up, to stay open, to meet this moment with the full truth of who you are. That's not easy. But you didn't come here for easy. You came here for liberation. You came here to walk a path that may not make sense to others, but makes you feel more alive than you've ever felt before. And if that means being misunderstood, then so be it. If that means letting go of the familiar, then let it fall. Because the cost of holding on to what no longer fits is far greater than the fear of stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is where the real you lives. The you that's not defined by past versions or external expectations. The you that's fluid, intuitive, creative, infinite. The you that doesn't need to fit into anything because it came here to create everything. That version of you doesn't chase safety. It becomes the safety. It doesn't beg for permission. It realizes the door was never locked. It doesn't wait for signs. It becomes the sign. And that's what you are now, a living signal, a resonance, a ripple that reaches far beyond what you can see. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You don't need to be louder, stronger, more polished. You just need to be real. Because real is rare, and rare is magnetic. And when your presence is real, you start to feel it. The alignment, the synchronicities, the clarity. The moments where everything clicks and you realize you've shifted timelines without trying. Just by being. Just by trusting. Just by choosing again and again to show up in your truth. This isn't spiritual theory, this is spiritual reality. And it's playing out all around you, even now. Systems are collapsing, institutions are shaking, narratives are unraveling, and behind all of it is an invitation. Will you trust yourself when nothing else seems trustworthy? Because this is the test, not of your strength, but of your alignment. Can you be still when everything is shifting? Can you listen when others are yelling? Can you lead yourself when no one else is showing the way? If you can, you don't just survive this moment, you alchemize it. You turn it into fuel, into clarity, into a deeper connection with your own divine intelligence. And that intelligence is already speaking to you through your body, through your intuition, through the sensations that arise when you're in alignment and when you're not. You don't need another strategy, you need to listen. You don't need more information, you need to remember. Remember what it feels like to trust without proof, to act without permission, to follow the energy instead of the fear. That's the path forward. Not out there, in here, not in the chaos, in the clarity that lives underneath it. Because while most people are still waiting for a savior, waiting for the world to make sense, waiting for the storm to end, you are remembering that the storm isn't the enemy. The storm is the medicine. The storm is the clearing. The storm is what breaks down everything that kept you asleep. And once it passes, you're not the same. You're clearer, lighter, closer to who you've always been. The storm doesn't break you, it reveals you. That's what this moment is doing. It's revealing who is really ready. Not ready to pretend, not ready to perform, but ready to live. Fully. Boldly, authentically, and if you've made it this far, you are that kind of person. You wouldn't still be here if you weren't. You're not the one who turns away when things get real. You're the one who leans in, who breathes deeper, who asks the question no one else wants to ask, who says yes to the path even when it's lonely, because your soul recognizes the truth in it. And that truth, it changes everything. Because when you live from that place, life responds. Not always how you expect, but always how you need. You meet people who feel like home. You stumble into moments that feel like destiny. You begin to trust the timing, even when it doesn't match your plans. And in that space between your expectations and your expansion, you find the version of you that's not afraid to be seen, the version that's done waiting, the version that's no longer trying to earn worthiness because they know they already are. That version of you isn't coming. That version of you is already here. It's been here underneath the noise, the fear, the conditioning, and now, as the world unravels, as the illusions fall, you're being asked to choose it. Choose you. Not the projected version, not the polished version. The real one. The raw one. The one that's not afraid to feel, to speak, to lead, to break patterns, to set boundaries, to love without attachment, to walk away when it's time, to trust without guarantees. Because that version of you is who you came here to be. That version of you is who you came here to be. Not the one diluted by expectation, not the one molded by fear, but the one so in tune with your own truth that you can't help but live it, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's misunderstood, even when it asks you to release everything familiar so you can finally meet what's real. And what's real is this: your life was never meant to be a loop of survival and self-doubt. You didn't come here to repeat the patterns handed down through broken lineages and tired systems. You came here to interrupt them, to end them with you. You came here to rewrite the story, not just for yourself, but for those who came before you and those who will come after. That's the kind of responsibility the world doesn't teach you how to carry, but your soul knows how to hold it. It always has. Because what flows through you is ancient. It's cosmic. It's encoded in every cell of your being. And now, as the noise gets louder, the distractions more aggressive, the chaos more constant, you are being called inward. Not to escape, but to realign. Not to disconnect, but to remember. To remember that clarity doesn't come from the outside. It comes from anchoring into the truth that never left you. And when you do that, when you truly drop into the present moment, you realize the noise was never louder than your intuition. It just demanded more of your attention. But attention is yours to command. You don't owe your energy to everything that's loud. You don't have to respond to every demand, every crisis, every fear-based narrative. You get to choose. And in choosing presence, you choose power. In choosing trust, you choose truth. In choosing yourself, you choose the frequency that reshapes reality from the inside out. Most people won't do this, not because they can't, but because they're afraid. Afraid of what they'll lose, afraid of what they'll find, afraid that if they let go of who they've been, there won't be anything left. But you're different. You're ready to face the void, to move through the discomfort, to meet the unknown with open hands. Because you've come to understand that what looks like nothing is actually everything. That the space between who you were and who you're becoming isn't empty. It's full of potential. And in that space, you remember that your life is not a product of what you've been through. It's a reflection of what you choose to believe now. And what you believe is powerful, because beliefs become vibration. Vibration becomes reality. And when your belief system is built on alignment, on authenticity, on sacred trust, you become unstoppable. Not in the way the world defines success, but in the way your soul defines truth. You stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop arguing with people who don't see you. You stop watering down your voice just to keep the peace. Instead, you begin to live in peace, real peace, the kind that doesn't require control, the kind that comes from within, the kind that isn't shaken by opinions, projections, or external chaos. That's the peace of presence, the peace of purpose, the peace of knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. And the world might not recognize it, the systems might not validate it, but your soul will. You'll feel it in your body, in your breath, in your choices. You'll feel it in the way you no longer betray yourself to be accepted, in the way you honor your boundaries without guilt, in the way you move through life with reverence instead of resistance. And that reverence, it changes everything. It softens you, strengthens you, clarifies you. It becomes the lens through which you see your entire journey, not as a collection of mistakes, but as a masterpiece of becoming. Because even the hardest moments served you. Even the detours were sacred. Even the heartbreaks cracked you open in all the right places. And now you're ready to lead. Not with force, but with frequency. Not with answers, but with alignment. You lead by living, by choosing presence over performance, by embodying your truth so deeply that it becomes a mirror for others, a reminder, a reflection, a wake-up call. Because most people are still asleep, not because they're weak, but because they're afraid to feel, afraid to see, afraid to remember. But your presence, your courage to feel deeply, to live honestly, to trust radically, it makes others brave too. That's how change spreads, not through noise, through embodiment. So breathe. Not just to survive, but to soften, to expand, to arrive more fully into yourself. Let the exhale carry away what no longer resonates. Let the inhale bring you back to the truth. You are not running out of time. You are not missing your moment. You are not behind. You are right on schedule, even if your mind tells you otherwise. Because your timing is not based on a calendar. It's based on your readiness. And you are ready now. Not to be perfect, but to be real, to be awake, to be present in a world that's spinning faster every day, and to move from stillness anyway. Because the most radical act you can take in this world isn't to hustle harder. It's to slow down and feel, to listen, to trust, to align. In that alignment, everything that's meant for you finds you, not because you forced it, but because you became the version of yourself who could receive it. This is the new paradigm. It's not coming, it's here, and you're living it. You are the frequency that breaks cycles. You are the clarity in a world full of confusion. You are the quiet voice that reminds others to come home to themselves. Not everyone will understand you. That's okay. You're not here to be understood by the masses. You're here to be true to your own evolution, to walk your own path with integrity, to trust your own unfolding even when no one else can see what you see. Because what you see is real, what you feel is real, and the moment you stop doubting it is the moment everything begins to align. The moment everything begins to align is rarely the moment others applaud. It's quiet, subtle, internal. You feel the shift before the evidence arrives. You know before there's proof. You choose before there's reward. That's what makes it sacred. That's what makes it yours. You're not waiting for permission anymore. You're not waiting for the right time. Because the right time is the moment you stop waiting. And that moment is now. Let the world spin. Let the old crumble. Let the noise rage louder than ever. You're not here to fight it. You're here to rise above it, to observe it without becoming it, to walk through it without losing yourself in it. You're here to be the presence that remains when all the distractions fall away. Because that presence is what most people forgot. They've built lives around things that can be taken. But you're building your life around something eternal, around something unshakable, around the truth that has no opposite. And that truth lives in you, it always has. It's the way your body knows when something's off, even if your mind can't explain why. It's the way your heart breaks open when something touches your soul. It's the way your energy rises when you speak what's real. That's not emotion, that's intelligence. And you're finally learning to trust it. You don't need to perform anymore. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You don't need to explain your evolution. Some things aren't meant to be explained, they're meant to be lived, they're meant to be felt, they're meant to be embodied. You're not here to fit into what's breaking, you're here to remember what's eternal, you're here to move from truth, to speak from soul, to love from fullness. And even when it feels like no one's watching, even when the world doesn't respond the way you hoped, it matters. Every step matters. Every choice you make to stay true to yourself matters. Because energy doesn't lie, and life is listening. Always. Telling how to be getting on, but it listens when you stop settling, it listens when you walk away, it listens when you rise anyway, and it rearranges itself accordingly. That's the magic of alignment. It doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, it doesn't try to control, it simply becomes, and in becoming it draws everything it needs. Information. You don't need to know how it all unfolds. You don't need to map every detail. You just need to stay connected, to keep returning to yourself, to keep asking, What feels true right now? What feels alive? What feels like love? And then move from that space, even when it's scary, even when it's inconvenient, even when it means letting go of everything you thought you had to be. Because what's waiting on the other side is not just a new version of you. It's a new world. A world built on resonance instead of rules. A world led by intuition instead of fear. A world where people remember who they are because someone like you remembered first. That's how it works. One person, one choice, one act of trust at a time. And if you're still here, if you're still listening, then maybe you've already started. Maybe this isn't the beginning at all. Maybe this is your confirmation. Maybe everything you've been feeling, everything that hasn't made sense until now, is finally coming into focus. And if that's true, then let this moment land. Let it root into your body. Let it echo in your heart. Let it become the reminder you turn to when the world gets loud again, because the world will get loud again. The old systems will try one more time to convince you that your worth lives outside of you, but now you'll remember. Now you'll feel the difference. Now you'll know that your peace isn't a performance. Your clarity isn't up for debate. Your voice is not here to echo the crowd, it's here to speak what only you can say. So say it. Live it. Be it. Without apology. Without delay. Without waiting for proof, because the proof is already in your presence. Most people have no idea what's about to happen, but you do. You've felt it in your bones. You've seen it in your dreams. You've sensed it in the quiet moments, when everything else fades and only the truth remains. You know this isn't just a time of endings. It's a time of emergence, of return, of remembrance. The systems weren't built to hold your light. The world they created wasn't designed for your liberation. That's why it's falling apart. That's why it has to, because what's being born is something they cannot control. A consciousness that's ungovernable, a heart that doesn't shrink for comfort, a soul that refuses to be silenced. That's you, not someday, not when you're more healed, more perfect, more validated. You, right now, with your questions, with your courage, with your quiet yes to the life you were always meant to live. So trust yourself. More than the noise, more than the fear, more than the plan that was never yours to begin with. Trust your timing. Trust your guidance. Trust your unfolding. You're not here to escape the breakdown. You're here to be the breakthrough. You're not here to fear the end. You're here to ignite the beginning. You are not a victim of change. You are the change. And now, it's time to live like it.